Live from New York City. This is the Prayer Revolution. My name is Doyal, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host Vira, who's patching it all the way from Alachua, Florida. And we're very glad to be here. Welcome, everybody. This is our morning daily prayer podcast where we take a moment to pause, to pray, to connect, to remind ourselves of divine will in our life, and to remind ourselves really of who we are and what our purpose in life is. And that in forgetting those two things, so many problems come into my life, and not just problems of like, oh, I didn't, when I start praying, I get the promotion that I wanted or everything falls into place, but more internally, I start to feel the things that are happening. It's not that the things in my life start to change, but the things that in my life, they start to make more sense. And I'm able to bring a fresh perspective to my day, to my life, to my circumstances. And so we pray for that. We want that. And there's a lot to be said about that, but we start every morning with a beautiful prayer from Vira that he shares with us, and then we discuss and we just have a little conversation. That's what we've been doing.
Super grateful to be with you, DG, be with all you guys, and have this opportunity to pray. So we'll jump into it. Those of us that are not familiar, go ahead and just take a pause in your day. This will just be a couple minutes, but give yourself an opportunity just to have the full experience, to pause whatever you're doing, and to just sit down, stand, find stillness, start to connect to your breath, taking some nice deep inhales and and exhales, and to soften your body, just to relax your body. Maybe we're holding some tension, maybe there's some stress, or there's something we're concerned about, or we're just unconsciously just holding a tense body right now. Just soften your body, relax a little bit, soften the mind, and get into a space of receiving. In prayer, we open ourselves up to receive grace. We call out an individual heart, calling out to our source, calling out to our higher power, reconnecting our soul with God, with the divine. All of this happens just with this simple act of prayer. So in that mood, opening ourselves up, I'll read something that is a little modified excerpt from the Bhagavad Gita. We were reading this last night. My dear Lord, as we travel from one body to another, deep down, we retain the memory of our true selves, and with it, knowledge of our loving relationship with you. This memory haunts me, moves me, and inspires me to search for perfect love in this world. As eternal beings, we cannot bear the repeated experience of death or having to part from those we love. In our pursuit of love and happiness, we suffer the pains and misfortunes of this imperfect existence. Sometimes in this frustrated state, we hear your voice as super soul within our heart, reminding us from within of our eternal spiritual nature. Or we hear you in the sources of sacred wisdom, or from the mouths of self-realized souls. Then, like the sun rise illuminating this dark world, spiritual knowledge arises in our hearts, and we awaken on the path of self-realization. My dear Lord, help us to seek out your love today, that perfect love that every one of us are seeking. Help us to connect to that through gratitude, through appreciation, through loving devotional service. Through this prayer today, help us to reconnect to your love, and help us to set our bearings, help us to set our compass. The true north that we're seeking is your love. Help us to take steps toward that today. And in this prayer, help us to know that that's really what we're seeking. That's really what we're looking for. And for that to be more situated, more clear within our own consciousness. And calling out your holy names, ask that you give us strength, you give us courage, you give us clarity of vision to be able to see that it's your love and nothing more that we're seeking in this life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Vera, so much.
Thank you, Bob.
Last January, what's this past January? Just like a few months ago. Seems like it was in another era. But this past January, Veer Budger and I had the blessed opportunity to co-lead India pilgrimage, starting at the end of January, going into the beginning of February. People can't hear me? Am I not heard? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me on Zoom? Okay, everyone hear me on Zoom.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. And so we started at the end of January, going to the beginning of February. It's a pilgrimage that Vera and his wife Diana take every year, but this year, because of their newborn baby, Diana stayed back, and I got to join them. And we went to the Govardhan Eco Village. We went to Rishikesh and went to Vrindavan, and it was such a strong bond. And it was very interesting that when we got to Rishikesh, normally my understanding of the itinerary is that they do this hike, they drive to the top of this big hill and they see the sunrise, and then they hike down this big hill and it's so beautiful. And Vera said it was the coldest, worst weather he'd ever seen in Rishikesh when we were there. And literally all of that got shut down. Like we basically just, we were able to go to the Ganga and take a dip in the Ganga. It was very cold, but aside from that, we were kind of inside a lot. And we just totally restructured our itinerary to just kind of be inside, and we just had these deep sanghas and kirtans, and the energy was very just kind of like internal, and it ended up being very sweet. It was really a time when we all kind of just went very internal, and we connected with each other in a very deep way. It was actually kind of very beautiful. And those bonds and those connections stayed so strong that we've continued meeting once a week, our little group on Monday evenings, just reading and discussing the Bhagavad Gita. And so we had a session last evening, and what Vera was reading, that prayer came up. We were reading that section in the Bhagavad Gita, and it was from the 15th chapter. We were reading. Rancho Prime, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, wrote this beautiful version of the Bhagavad Gita, and we were reading that. And so that was a section that we really focused on. So I'm glad you brought that up. It was really sweet. And as I was thinking in our time in India, it was like, wow, that we kind of had our own. It was like a very mini soft lockdown in Rishikesh, just due to the weather. And but that really gave us such an opportunity to be like, okay, all our plans of going to see the sunrise and hiking down this beautiful hill and going to all these places, that's on hold. So let's readjust, and let's take shelter of what we have with us just in this room here. And we really took that shelter. And then that really, I think, it created such a gateway for us to take the next leg of our journey into Vrindavan. We were able to go to the sacred village, which from material vision might seem not so spiritual sometimes, because it might just seem like another place in India. But because of, I think, that depth that we took internally, we were able to kind of see something with a broader vision. And I was just relating that to our time here now in lockdown. And it's just kind of like the ability to kind of refocus and recenter ourselves and take these opportunities. So I was appreciating that time that we could spend in India. And I was also appreciating the group that we have, the bonds we're able to take with the group still afterwards. And also the section that you just brought up of what you read. I was really, really grateful you mentioned all of that.
Yeah, totally. You're bringing me back to Vrindavan, bringing me back to India, and those sacred moments that we had, and to be able to see, it's like, okay, what are we really looking for? It's just this constant recalibration that's taking place. What are we looking for in our life? What's going to actually bring us the fulfillment that we're seeking? And we're telling ourselves, we're studying. There's the philosophy that makes sense, the Vedic philosophy and Bhagavad Gita in so many ways. It makes so much sense intellectually. And to actually give ourselves that focus, like you were saying, like to go internal, it may be raining outside, plans may change, things may go this way or that way. That's all just kind of like a secondary element to our life, God's will is unfolding, and we're doing the best that we possibly can to understand that. And none of us will ever probably fully understand that in these bodies, in this material world. But we're doing the best that we can to love God. We're doing the best that we can to be instruments of his grace, and to shower that and to share that abundantly with the people that we come around and people that come across our path. And what's needed to recalibrate, what's actually needed. And Srila Prabhupada, when he talks about Krishna consciousness, is a moment-to-moment state of consciousness. That's what we're going for. We're going for this moment-to-moment state of, Bhakti Louis and his pup, that love flows deeper and deeper, and for all of us, the relationships that we have with our coworkers and with our family and with our, Bhakti is relationship. Bhakti is the essence of divine love and relationship. And we're seeking that perfect love. Nothing else is going to satisfy us. And so to recalibrate and to see, man, every single moment, Bhakti Tirtha Swami talks about in Spiritual Warrior, that we're in the school of love. Every single moment, I'm just trying to love. And man, I forget that. Like a goldfish, every 7 seconds, I'm like, I'm here to love, and I'm here to take care of myself. Like, that's why I'm here. Like I got business to take care of. I got money to make. I got pleasure to experience. And not that those things are wrong. We're not categorizing and separating like that. But the state of consciousness of I, me, my first, I, me, my first is going to bring me fulfillment. It's going to bring me pleasure. It's going to bring me satisfaction. And wrong, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. As much as I try to control, as much as I try to go there, it's not going to do it. It's my heart wants to experience love. And that is the agony that we feel in our hearts and our consciousness. That's the agony that we feel, the pain, the suffering, like you were talking about yesterday, Richard Rohr is saying, that there's a homesickness. That's what I'm feeling. Feeling a homesickness of my heart, my soul, and connection with the divine. And until that love is felt, nothing will satisfy the heart. Nothing will satisfy the soul. So we are wandering through this world looking for that love. And you're reminding us, DG, to go, how can we, in our moment-to-moment life, no matter what's going on, it's raining, it's sunshine outside, it's hot, it's cold, to be able to remember I'm looking for love, and I'm looking to share and express love toward God and toward everybody that comes across my path. We're just working on it, right? Every morning we're working on it with Prayer Revolution, one prayer at a time, one conversation at a time, to align our consciousness with the divine. And so
looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces. I was just thinking of that. I was thinking, what was that? With that verse that you mentioned, or you mentioned that paragraph of that vision or something haunts me. What was that line you just read, and the line leading up to that? It's such powerful. I wanted to just go back to that.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I highly recommend any of you guys that are tuning in right now, just even if you take 30 seconds a day to tap into your own heart and to write a prayer, to write your conversation with God. It's just so beautiful, and it's so enriching, and it doesn't take a lot of time, but it gives so much connection. When I write these prayers, and I'll read them out a couple times, I read them, and I try to read it from my heart. I try to read it with energy, with emotion, with, that I'm having a conversation, that we're sitting together in a room, and that we're face to face. And so I highly recommend that if any of you guys haven't tried it before. It's a beautiful practice. And let me read it. Yeah. As we travel from one body to another, deep down, we retain the memory of our true selves, and with it, knowledge of our loving relationship with you. This memory haunts me, moves me, and inspires me to search for perfect love in this world. As eternal beings, we cannot bear the repeated experience of death or having to part from those we love. it's unbearable, right? It's like the nature
Yeah.
of the soul is eternal, and the nature of the soul is that there's no end, there's no block, there's no barrier, there's no dam to this ever
Mm,
flowing love from the heart. So this artificial material existence where we have to stop, and people die and hearts break, and it's kind of like, wait a minute, like what's going on? Like there's
mm,
something wrong with this.
yeah.
There's something wrong with this situation. My heart is not meant to stop loving. These relationships are not meant to end. They're meant to, there's an eternality to it. There's an ever expansion to that love that we yeah,
Mm,
we kind of get a little bit of a side swipe, with death
yeah.
in the material world. So
Yeah, it's like there's like a homing device in all of our hearts. That's kind of like I love that sense of like that memory haunts me because it's sort of like we're not creating anything in the heart. We're literally just reawakening what is already there. It's kind of like the example I use often when I'm teaching kirtan is like the soul. It's kind of like buried in the rubble of our material identities. Like there was different times in the news where like there'd be like miners trapped in some deep cave somewhere, like something collapsed and like something blew up and they were just like trapped beneath this rubble, or like sometimes it'd be like earthquakes, massive
mhm,
earthquakes, and they're searching for survivors amidst all of the broken buildings. And so it's like that soul is down deep buried, and it's like every time I take on a particular identity, anytime somebody says something about me, my material identity, positive or negative, and I believe it, I'm adding bricks and rubble to that pile of covering over my false self. Someone says, "Oh, you're such a beautiful," you know, somebody makes a comment, a beautiful comment about my body, or about my material intelligence, or about my success, and I believe it. Like, ooh, thank you. It's like, oh, I'm just adding on to the rubble. And someone tells me something negative, oh, you're ugly, or you're stupid, or you're fail, or whatever. I'm also adding to the rubble because I'm accepting both. And then we hear the constantly through that even mindedness, happiness and distract, victory, defeat, fame and infamy, etc. And because I don't want to be adding to that rubble, and I'm actually that soul, that it's like kind of like you search and you search and you pull away those bricks and those boulders and those stones and all that rubble, and you start to see this shining light of the soul that's deep down in there. And so it's recreating that, like we have we have divine connection with supreme spirit. We have that divine connection with God, and
mhm,
it's like a faint memory, you know. And it's like we're kind of like we're looking for that, everywhere.
mhm,
And it's like we can't let it go. And the thing is, when we recognize, oh, that's what I'm actually looking for, everything clicks and makes sense. But if I don't know that's what I'm actually looking for, I'm going to keep getting frustrated again and again and again. Why isn't this working? I'm broken. I'm unlovable. Life's pointless. It never works. But we don't realize that we're just looking. I was actually looking up the lyrics of the song by Johnny Lee, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. It's a very profound song, actually. I don't know if he didn't mean it for God. I think he was just looking for a girlfriend, probably. But it's a very profound song, looking for love in all the wrong places. You know that song?
I sounds familiar. Yeah, it sounds familiar.
It's an old country song. And
I'm into it, Bubba.
he says, and I quote,
Sing it, DG. Sing it.
well, AJ was earlier. I was singing the song, and AJ's like, "Why did you stop? Like, keep going." And I was like, "Because I don't know all the lyrics. That's all that I knew." It's just,
All right, sing it. Get that bass out. Let's
but
go,
I've
baby.
listened to it. QT. It's. I mean, it's so profound. He says, "Well, I've spent a lifetime looking for you." And really, we spent lifetimes. I mean, this whole
Mhm,
journey, there's like I said, there's like a homing device in our heart that's bringing us back to Krishna, and we don't realize it. What was it? Was it George Harrison, the preface of the Bhagavad Gita? It's like we're all we're all looking for Krishna. Some of us know it, some of us don't.
mhm,
You know. And he said, we spent a lifetime looking for you. Single bars and good time lovers were never true,
mhm.
right? Single bars and good time lovers were never true. Playing a fool's game, hoping to win, and telling those sweet lies and losing again. Just keep losing. Bryn's posted on the platform, looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm not sure if I'm promoting. I don't know Johnny Lee as a person, so I'm not propagating his songs or his music. But if you want to take it into spiritual context, then he says, I was looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces, searching their eyes and looking for traces of what I'm dreaming of, hoping to find a friend and a lover. I'll bless the day I discover another heart looking for love. And I was alone then, no love in sight, and I did everything I could to get me through the night. Don't know where it started or where it might end. I turned to a stranger, just like a friend.
Mm.
I turned to how many strangers in the material world, not just like people, but just things that we just assume this is my friend. I was talking with somebody the other day, just dealing with addiction, whether it's alcohol or something else. Like, remember, we become friends with the things that actually bring us down, that actually
Mhm.
create vacancy and emptiness in our heart. We think that those things are our friends.
Mm.
I was looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces, searching their eyes and looking for traces of what I'm looking for. So it's just like kind of related to me in what I'm looking for in the material world. But that you mentioned, back to what you read, that memory haunts me
Mm.
and it inspires me and it moves me. Like that search is not false.
Mhm.
Because I think is what happened. We get so frustrated with the fruitless search for love in the material world. We think that love must not exist, relationship just must not exist. Let me shut off that valve of the heart. Let me shut it all down, everybody. But it's like, no, that search is true, because you're just responding to that homing device in your heart that's looking for genuine true love.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I was thinking about it. It's like to be able to make that feeling in our heart a friend. Who here experiences that feeling in their heart and it's like, oh, just take it away, my Lord. I don't want to feel it no more. I don't want to feel it. It's like it's like those blues songs, right? It's like, oh man, the heart is being squeezed from within, and we feel those intense emotions. We feel that despair and we feel that hopelessness and we want to give up and we lose faith and it's so frustrating. We get angry and sad and oh, and that's the aching of the heart looking for that love. It is the aching of our heart that's looking for that connection with the Lord. And that in my life, and talking, we talked about this early on in the podcast, some of the first ones we were doing, and so much of my life I've been spent fighting that feeling. So much of my life I've spent making that feeling the enemy, to do anything to avoid that feeling, to do anything to avoid that feeling. And I'm finding in my life actually now that it's actually a dear friend. It's actually a dear friend that's coming to teach me something, that's coming to help show me the way back to that love, back to that life of love that I'm seeking, that life of connection with the divine that I'm seeking. And it's not going to stop aching until that connection is had. It's not going to stop aching. And so we got this achy, breaky heart. We've all felt it. We've all
We're
felt it.
getting country today. We're going country. Krishna goes country.
Don't break my heart, my achy, break your heart.
Well, it's interesting that when I, like, for example, I'm thinking of like in relationships, and my wife and I, one time we were speaking to a mentor of ours, and she was saying how, like, you're not allowed to reject bids of affection.
Mm,
If someone's making a bid for affection, you have to accept that. you
mm,
know and so in the sense, like, whether you're angry or you had an argument or wherever you're at, if someone's trying to make a genuine bit of affection, you have to accept that, because otherwise it furthers the wedge. It furthers the
mhm,
wedge. And so, like, for example, like if somebody just wants to hold your hand or come and give you a hug or whatever that might mean. And so, but it might be really, really hard because you're
mm.
hurt, or they're the they're
Whew.
the they're the worst person in the world. They're wrong. Everything's their fault. And why should I even give them the time of day, what to speak of or respond to a bid for affection.
Mm,
And so it's kind of like looking at that relationship that we have with Krishna. We're looking for love in long, long places, but we're looking for love in all the wrong places. But our achy breaky heart has been hurt, And therefore, we ignore or we don't recognize the bids for affection that Krishna is offering us on a regular basis. And we sometimes think that, it's like that classic thing. Well, I'll apologize if they apologize. You know what I mean? Or like they need to do it first. So Krishna needs to apologize first for all the crap he put me through. Then maybe I'll start to show up in my spiritual life. And it's like, no, it's who's going to go first? It's like, what are the bids of affection that I'm making?
Mm.
And in what ways am I noticing the bids for affection that Krishna is offering me on a regular basis? And sometimes it can just start that way simply. Like it doesn't have to just be, okay, I'm just going to jump into this fully surrendered, loving, blissful, God is everywhere and it's beautiful and epiphany, but it can just be like, okay, I'm just going to start just a little bit to kind of glance over and start to mend things a little bit by small little bids for affection. Or it's not even that things are broken and I need to fix them, but it might just be that things are going okay, but I want to deepen it. I don't want to coexist. You know what I mean? Sometimes married couples or relationships, it's like, okay, we can coexist. We're roommates. We're able to respectfully live in the same vicinity without being mean. It's like, I don't want that either. I want deep, genuine, like, love. I want a passion for divine love. And so let me make deposits into that emotional bank account, so I don't have to see my sadhana, my spiritual practice, or my prayer as a means of like obligatory duty. It's a way for me. I'm making a deposit into that emotional bank account because I want to increase that level of affection.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, the question is then how am I seeing the bids of affection Krishna's offering? Am I seeing them as bids for affection, and I'm responding to them as bids for affection?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and that takes some courage, and that takes some love goggles on, right? We got to put the love goggles on to be able to see that and to feel that. And it's not yeah, man, when we're feeling other types of emotions, it can be hard, like you're saying, DG, to shift into that gear of actually opening ourselves up to receive it, right? We don't want to believe in it. We've kind of put up these walls, we put up these walls of all these expectations, and Krishna talks about that in the Gita. He said, it's like the have, do, be consciousness. Like, I'm not going to love until like the world around me just transforms and like I am just the most loved being. I'm not going to love until that happens. I'm not going to do something until that happens. And you're encouraging us, saying, no, don't start there. Don't start with the expectation of another. Like, start with the expectation of ourself and the way we're seeing the responsibility to see love, to see the small bids of love, and to see the opportunities to be able to give those bids of love, and that investment pays off. That investment gives us something of great value, and maybe it starts small, but it's like, I get these different, I'm subscribed to different podcasts, different things like that. I'm always like looking at what people are doing in the world, and I got this thing today, it's about Bitcoin, right? Invest $500 today, and like, you could make $5 million. If you invest $5,000 today, you could be the next Bitcoin millionaire, and it's like, oh wow, like, yeah, I could be the next millionaire in love and connection with the divine. And right now, this little investment that I think, this little piece of paper with some words written down on it, I think it's 30 seconds, right? What is it? It's a few cents. It's a few moments of time and energy. And I think that maybe it doesn't really have that much value, but it does, right? It's those small bids of affection, those small bids of love, those small offerings of devotion, and the intention behind it, the mood behind it. And it awakens that perfect love that we're looking for. Gradually, slowly but surely, it will awaken it. So
let's do it. Let's become Bitcoin millionaires. If you would
let's
like to
become.
if you would like to contribute to Vira Bajra's investment, please sign on to Vira Tanzi Bitcoin Campaign 2020.com. He's taking donations of all types of varieties, and so you can support
Of
his
all
campaign.
prayers, I'm taking donations of prayers.
We love you guys so much.
donations of inspiration, taking donations of love. I'm a thief. I'm like Robin Hood. I'm stealing from you guys every single day.
If you would like to share some of your love to Vera, you can write at Prayer Revolution, write to Prayer Revolution at bhakticenter.org. We're so glad to have you all with us, tuning in every day. That's all the time we have for today. We just kind of keep it short and sweet, but we will see you all again tomorrow. Again, you can write to us at Prayer Revolution at bhakticenter.org. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your feedback. We're going to start some of the questions that we get, and we're going to start looking at some of the questions and answering them here on our podcast on a particular day. And so if you have questions that come up today or at any other time, please do write to us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your questions. We'd love to speak about the things that are on your mind. And so please write to us there. And I'm really trying to get Vera's mom to come on as our first guest. And so that's what I'm looking for. We should have a special guest day. And I have all kinds of thoughts and themes of ideas of days, special days we can do to give us focus on different days. And so one of them is a guest day. And so I'm trying to convince Vera to reach out to his mom and invite her onto the show. If you think that's a good idea, write to us at Prayer Revolution at bhakticenter.org. Send us in your fan mail, and I'll forward that right on to Vera, and we'll pressure him into it. Please share these recordings. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on SoundCloud. You can share with your friends or listen to later. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please go ahead and subscribe and give us a 5-star review. We would really love it. And that's it. Anything else, Vera?
Oh, love you, bro. Grateful to be with you guys.
We love you guys all so much. Please be well. Please be well. Please be safe. Please stay connected. And we'll see you next time.